T minus 2 minutes. T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Watts the Obsession live stream and chat. And this evening, what the heck is that weird background? I've got to change that. We are talking, that's from when Kathleen McKenna Houston was on, and it's just not appropriate. This evening, we are going to be talking about the Micah Miller case. And oh my gosh, there is so much to talk about. Now, yes, I would have been a little bit late anyway. Yes, you know me. And I'm sorry about that. I will apologize every time, but I do my best. What is that background? And then I was trying to get confirmation on something that I have heard being just whispered about, around the YouTube community and just some other places. And I didn't want to bring it out until I got some confirmation. I did get confirmation on it. So we're going to talk about that. And there's just so much going on with this case right now. And I'm really happy that is happening, because the big problem with this case, ever since the world found out that sweet, beautiful Micah Miller lost her life, is it is being under-investigated, grossly under-investigated. Like, come on, people. The police report or the death report from the Robeson County Sheriff's Department, which we will take a look at, is absolutely pathetic. Not to mention the fact that, oh my God, this makes me so angry, that they released Micah Miller's body to J.P. Miller after she had just filed for divorce from him. He was served the papers less than 48 hours before her death. And she had also applied for a protective order against him because of the way he was behaving towards her, and that he was relentlessly stalking her, following her, not allowing her to live her life, and all of these terrible things. Plus the entire history, the huge, vast history of police reports, legitimate reports, and incidences that are on file with JP abusing Micah. And she passes away. They don't investigate her death, and they release her remains to JP fucking Miller. Seriously, it makes so little sense to me or anyone else. So we will get going. I'm going to be talking about that more breaking. Oops, sorry. Oh, I already loaded that in here. I'm talking to myself, guys. Don't worry about me. Hello to everybody who's here, by the way. Thank you for being here, everybody. Thank you so much, moderators. You guys are amazing. And everybody else. Hey, Sherry, see, you weren't late after all. How's that going, Sherry? You're not even late. Everybody who's new, welcome. I'm so glad you guys are here, subscribers, members. And yeah, justice for Micah. Let's do this. Let's pick the right layout first, and then let's do this. All right, there we go. Oh, this whole the part of this intro here, I'm releasing a video tomorrow. It's a really good one. Check it out. I've been working on it for a while. Of course, I have to keep adding stuff because the information on this case is just, like an uncontrolled sieve, and more things keep happening. You have to adjust, modify, confirm, vet. Well, this channel does all those things. But it will be coming out tomorrow, and part of this little introduction to the case here will be seen in that as well. So when you do watch the video, if you want to skip the first few minutes, you can do that, or watch it again. It's going to be in HD. This is not. There's our creepy eyes like that. Whoa, that's not the sound.
I pray for your healing. Circumstances would change. I pray that the fear inside would flee. In Jesus' name, I pray that breakthrough would happen today. I pray miracles over your life. In Jesus' name, in Jesus' name.
But that is still not enough for Micah's family to accept that she and she alone, the troubled wife and apparently abusive South Carolina pastor, is responsible for her own death. The family says this new exclusive video of the exact spot where Micah died proves that she could not have shot herself.
In Jesus' name.
Y'all, this case just keeps getting weirder. Micah left a list of everything to the bar right after your wife's.
I have several new updates to release Monday.
What are we here for? Justice for Micah! When do we want it? Now!
It seems that since learning about Micah Miller's death, the whole world wants justice for Micah, and ideally, we want it now. But what's really happening is a whole lot of lacking in serious investigation into her highly suspicious death, which is lending to a lot of people who are not trained in investigating serious crimes, finding the need to do what they can to try to figure out what exactly happened to Micah, since it seems that most people, including her family and friends, absolutely positively do not believe that Micah Miller took her own life. And although there is some evidence that was put out there that could make someone think, oh, well, okay, I see that now. That makes sense. I guess she did, in fact, take her life. There is also a whole lot of evidence out there that shows it was very improbable that Micah took her own life. And it is very likely that somebody who had been in her life for several years is behind the whole ugly plan. Before we get into everything that's been discovered that goes to show that the actual events of the last day of Micah's life were not as they seemed at first, and they definitely were not as the official narrative would want you to believe. Let's take a look at the basic timeline of that very last day of Micah's life, April 27th, 2018. 12:34 p.m. Micah leaves her apartment near Myrtle Beach, North Carolina, dressed for
leaves
work,
her apartment in
and
Myrtle
heads
Beach,
to a
South
pawn
Carolina,
shop to
shortly
purchase a gun.
after noon,
Whoa.
and heads to a pawn shop to buy a gun.
12:34 p.m. Micah leaves the pawn. Sorry, I just had some overlapping audio. That's why I was bugging out a little bit. So here is the basic timeline of events as the official narrative wants to put it. So that's all I'll say about that. And then we can kind of springboard from there, as they say. Shop and gets on a highway. She stops at a gas station to buy gas and a drink, and she's headed towards North Carolina. 2:54 p.m., about 33 miles from the gas station, Micah Miller calls 911 from a parking lot at Lumberton State Park and tells the dispatcher that she's planning on taking her own life.
Happened.
I'm about to kill myself, and I just want my family to know where to find me.
3:03 p.m. deputies from the sheriff's office contact the park rangers and begin a search within 30 minutes. Special units are deployed in the air to search the park from overhead. 3:50 p.m. Detectives are approached by someone fishing in the area. This person says that they found a bag just off of the water that has Micah's ID in it. They also say that they heard crying followed by a gunshot. 4:23 p.m. A kayaker in the area calls 911 to report seeing a body in the water. Perimeter is set up to secure the area. Within the hour, the chief of detectives arrives and the coroner's office is contacted. 54 p.m. Crime scene technicians start taking photos of the area and they found Micah's car. In the car, investigators found a gun case on the passenger seat and ammunition along with the gun case. The receipt for the weapon and her gas station stop are found. 11 p.m., a gun is found in the water. The serial number matches the gun case in Micah's car. The next morning, J.P. Miller delivers 2 sermons at Solid Rock Church, where he is the pastor. In the last 90 seconds of his second sermon, he casually delivers the information to his congregation that loved Micah, that Micah was no longer with us, and he declares her death was self-induced, as he says.
Instead, I'm going to have you stand up and I'm going to make an announcement. And after the announcement, I'm going to ask that you leave church quietly and don't talk about the announcement. I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away. And yeah, it was self-induced, and it was up in North Carolina. Y'all pray for me and my kids and everybody. And she wasn't. Y'all knew that she wasn't well mentally.
But the only thing that I've got a question about this whole thing is now I just
let me stop there. Okay, hold it. Let me stop there. Okay, so back it up. All right. Whew. There's just like so much. I'm just trying to organize how this should all roll out in my mind. Okay. So there are significant questions about the 911 call. Is the 911 call authentic? I don't know if you guys saw in my last video, I played a little clip that I actually took from a channel that is doing amazing work on this case. If you guys are not subscribed to him and getting the updates and you're into this case, definitely do. The channel is called The Robbie Harvey. The Robbie Harvey. I don't know why it's The Robbie Harvey, but that's what it is. And in that video, he had made his own, recreation using artificial intelligence of part of Micah Miller's 911 call. And it sounded exactly like the actual 911 call that was played out. So I just want to play that for you guys. And, definitely a trigger warning here. If you're not interested in listening to the 911 call, it is 2 minutes and 30 seconds long. So you can just know that. But I do want you to listen to it because this is one of the big issues in the case. I have a couple things to say about that. Then we're going to talk about the FBI death investigation and the fisherman changing his story and the bombshell he just dropped on the world. Let's see, I just have so many windows open. I gotta scroll to see which one I want to pull up. What is it called? Oh, got it.
Robeson County 911. What's the address of your emergency?
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
Let me see. You don't know where you're at?
A national park.
What's the phone number you're calling me from?
Damn. Sorry, guys.
Where's the park located at?
In Fair Bluff.
Let's see.
I have my location on, I think, on my phone. Find my phone is on. I just did my my location.
Okay, I'm showing. Hold on 1 second.
Such a long gap,
I don't
right?
think you are in Robeson County. Are you at the Lumber River State Park?
Yeah, that's where I am.
Okay. Tell me what's happened.
I'm about to kill myself, and I just want my family to know where to find me.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Just listen to what I'm saying, okay? Let me make sure I got the exact location where you're at, okay? Just 1 minute.
Sorry. Okay. I've got so much going on back here. Okay, so that's a 911 call. It's so sad, you know, and if that is true, if kind of the way you would imagine it would go down based on that 911 call, then it is what it is. And when I first heard about all of the evidence, it was pointing towards the fact that it was very possible that she did take her own life, like the video camera footage, security camera footage from the gas station, the fact, and that she had bought a gun just a few hours before, and some other things. I thought, well, God, that's like not how you want to hear it ended. But I guess that is in fact what happened. I absolutely positively, in no way, by no means, believe that is what happened at this point. So I'm going to just, I think what I'm going to do is just show you a few slides of the information that pertains to, you know, what we're kind of talking about here, and then move forward. Let's see. My slides are all mixed up though, but let me just give me 1 second here. Okay. Oh man, people have that labeled wrong. That's a shame. Okay. Okay. Let me just blow this bad boy up. Can I do that? Yes. Sorry, there's going to be a lot of talking to myself. I'm sorry about that. Okay. So now, first of all, let me bring this into the stream so you can see it. And welcome to everybody who's here. Just come on in. Hey, Double R, how's it going? Nice to see you. Hey, Veronica. Hey, Sunshine on a Day. And everyone else. I'm so glad you guys are here. RC, hey, how's it going? Micah didn't even know where she was. That's right. That's right. Yep, that is right. She didn't sound like she did. And I did listen to that Nat, what's her name? Nat something channel. She's a radio host, and she broke down the audio. And we can watch that if you want. I have that to share with you if you'd like. I don't know if you guys have seen it. And people say that it sounds like before she says, she says, where are you? And she says something like, Fair Bluff. And just before that, there is a sound, and it absolutely sounds like a human being talking. I've run it through my audio editing myself. I wasn't able to make out what they said by any means, but it definitely indicates something is there. And the graph you get of the audio sounds looks like it's a human voice, and it sounds like a human voice. So what that particular creator asserts is that somebody said Fair Bluff in the background, like kind of telling her where she's going to say she's at. And then she says, Fair Bluff? It is definitely really strange. That's for damn sure, right? Okay, so taking a look at this here. So if you're looking at the bottom of this map, we have Strickland Field, 89 North. So that is where the gas station is located that Micah Miller was at. We probably all saw that video, right? She fills her car up with gas. People are asking, why does she fill her car up with gas if she's about to go kill herself? I mean, it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. That's just a weird one, right? And the energy drink, think what you want of that. But it was a weird purchase if that's where you're going to go do. So then from there, you travel up the highway that she got on. Fair Bluff is actually off of the highway. It doesn't indicate that on this map here. I should have made my own map, but I didn't. And then you continue up and you go to Lumber River State Park. I keep wanting to say Lumberton for some reason. Now, one of the interesting things is that, now I'm just going to scroll through my files here, so I'm sorry for whatever it is you see. It's going to be case stuff. That's going to be one we want to look at. Was that? Yep. Okay. See, this person has it labeled incorrectly. That's what happens when you try to rely on other people's work. I'm not trying to rely on other people's work, but I was going to grab that. Let's see. Don't I have it here? I don't have it here. Damn. Now I got to go back through all that. Okay. Let's see. So I'm gonna bear with me for a moment. Bear with me for a moment, folks. Was I sharing that with you? Yeah, I was. Okay. Let me just pull this up here. Everybody take a breath, grab a coffee. No. Oh, is that it? Can't read that. No. Okay. I know. Images. Okay. Dude, where's that map? There we go. Let me just find one that's accurate. Give me just 1 second. I'm going to leave this right here. 15 days ago. Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay. Do you guys, anybody who knows about anything having to do with the attorney, do you guys think that he is somehow involved? Now, John Paul's attorney and John Paul were like simpatico. They were like buddy buds. John Paul's attorney, Tom Winslow, was a member of John Paul's congregation. I was going to say Shady as congregation, but the congregation is not shady. It's not the people that are shady. It's the man that's shady. It is JP that's shady and the company that he keeps close to him. And you got to flip that though. Sorry. And, oh, I guess you know. And his activity within John Paul's congregation was not just relegated to a normal congregation member. He was doing all kinds of privileged things. And it is known through court file or through police filings that he was helping John Paul to obtain things about Micah that John Paul shouldn't have been privy to know about or gain access to. So that is a real shame as well. Now, another thing about the attorney, Tom Winslow, bring it back to my little graphics here. Is that it? Oops. Okay, is that, I have to share it with you again. Oh, no, I don't. He owns a plane. So the documentation, the records for the ownership of this plane, well, it just says it's a 2007 Cirrus Design Corp, SR22. Does that mean anything to any of you guys? It means nothing to me. Fixed wing, single engine, one engine. Where does it give the ownership information? Oh, well, it said anyway that this plane was purchased for $300,000, and it is under the name of Tom Winslow. Does that have anything to do with this case? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. Okay, so now here is a map of, so if you were thinking about the map that we just saw, that at the bottom, it started at the gas station where Micah Miller was seen on that security camera footage, and then it went up to Fair Bluff, and then from Fair Bluff, and that's where she said she was during that 911 call. She made, that map showed that the highway goes all the way up to Lumber River State Park. So here in this map, the perspective is, well, we're just looking at a like in close view of Fair Bluff. So just before you get to Fair Bluff, that is where Tom Winslow owns that 200-acre property that literally backs its butt up on the river that heads all the way up to Lumber River State Park. So this actually would be the entranceway to the landing. See, it says Landing Road, Griffin's Landing Road, the landing and Casey Landing. So there's two. There's Griffin's Landing if you kind of meander over to the left, and then there's a landing called Casey Landing, which is a boat launch that's going to take you right into that river. So if you get in that river, if you follow the river, you're going to end up right at Lumberton State Park, where we all know that is where Micah Miller made her 911 call, and that is where she was found. All right. Now, let's see. Here is a post from Tom Winslow from just the other day. This, I think, was from 2 days ago, and this is on the Robbie Harvey Facebook page. Again, he's a great resource for this case. If you're not following him yet, get with it, guys. And it says, this is Tom Winslow's post. And I had a great time at Rigatoni's murder mystery dinner in Myrtle Beach while redacted. We're out at camp. I ended up not being the killer, but did end up being the coroner. Great show, good food, in our own Myrtle Beach backyard. How interesting. I mean, if nothing less, this is an extremely, I think, inappropriate and insensitive post, given the fact that he is being possibly associated with the death of this beautiful 30-year-old woman that, well, a whole lot of the true crime sleuthing following world believes was committed by her husband, John Paul Miller, who's like his best buddy now. Better watch out. He might try to marry your wife, Tom Winslow. Now, this, again, was about 2 or 3 days ago. And it pertains to the Solid Rock Church and what's going on there right now. And the caption says, these are just some pictures of some people going into the church looking all fancy and happy. So this was this past Sunday. The coffee was warm and it's all smiles at Solid Rock Church today. According to one source, the parking lot was full and everybody seemed excited about their pastor admitting to posting topless photos of his wife, slashing her tires, putting tracking devices on her car, and telling her sister he's armed and ready. I mean, there's being a little sarcastic there, but kind of crazy that that's going on at the Solid Rock Church. They also snagged a picture of Reverend Charles Randall, who's a bit shady ass himself. And it just says, Reverend Charles Randall today at Solid Rock Church with the appearance of Randall. And I'm assuming he was standing on the pulpit. Hopefully, my God, JP Miller is not delivering the sermons. And, oh God, hopefully he's just out of that church. I guess I may as well read this. I'll just go through these while I'm here. This was from a few days ago, like 3 days ago, I think. Again, from the Robbie Harvey, because he grabs all this stuff and commemorates it for us. It says, Elder of Solid Rock Church speaks out. An elder who wishes to remain anonymous has revealed Michael Miller sought help multiple times from church leadership. Just think about that for a moment. According to the source who spoke with the elder, Micah Miller had begged the church leadership to get her husband, John Paul Miller, to stop harassing her. According to the elder, leadership did nothing. I confirmed with several people who wished to remain anonymous that they too didn't believe Micah when she begged for help. They simply believed everything John Paul said about Micah and ignored her cries for help. Let me say this. I've spoken with many people who don't believe Micah and who didn't believe Micah and they are heartbroken. They're really struggling with their actions and what's happened to Micah. They simply trusted their pastor and not her. And to be honest, I understand that. So there's just another lesson in not necessarily trusting everything that your shady ass pastor tells you. Now, this I think is really kind of like heartbreaking and nasty. And I do think that this was done on purpose. After we've seen the record of the way that John Paul Miller behaved in general and the way he treated Micah, things like this, what I'm about to read to you, where I usually would say, maybe that's just timing or something. I don't know. Not everything is suspicious. I'm not a big conspiracy person. I'm not suspicious of everything and everyone. I am very suspicious of John J.P. Miller. This says, in my opinion, there's no doubt the abuse of Micah Miller continues post-death. According to multiple sources, Micah absolutely loved Africa, right? She went on those missions to Africa. She just loved it. She wanted to continue in it and get more involved with it. It was her great passion. Her heart was missions. It was her dream to start a school there. Overnight, in a slap to Micah Miller's face, Solid Rock changed their cover photo. And this is a picture of their students from Africa, or I'm sorry, their school in Africa. And again, I think if absolutely nothing else, terrible, terrible case. Okay, these are just pictures now. All right. So, yeah, it's just like a whole lot to take in. Okay, let me bring that down, move into the next thing. And welcome to everybody who's coming in. Nice to see all of you guys. And oh, Sherry, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. I'm so appreciative of you. You are awesome. I'm always so glad you're here. We love our Sherry. She's a great support to the channel. Whoa, no, don't turn my camera on. Oh, don't do it. Caught it just in time. I do not want to be on camera right now. All right, so, okay. Now, I'm writing down what I'm talking about so you can tie it all back in because it does all tie together. But we're going to right now watch the latest interview with this fisherman who found Micah Miller's belongings right after she passed away. Now, he has spoken a few times to mainstream media. He spoke to one of the sleuths who was just in the area and got a hold of him, was able to talk to him. And he spoke another time, you know, just saying, I think this was the first time, asking people to stop associating him with being involved in this murder. He didn't do it. He didn't know anything about it. And I totally believe that. But now he says even more. So let's take a listen to that and, well, see what you think.
That I've got a question about this whole thing is now I just found out last week that JP had a lawyer or something that's got land down there. Marlon's land is somewhere near right there. I feel like somebody might have come in off of that land.
Okay, so he's joining us, some of us sleuths, and thinking that there's a theory out there. And when I first heard this theory just a couple of days ago, when people started talking about this, I was really skeptical because I am a skeptic with a true crime channel. But again, I don't think everything's suspicious. I don't believe everything that's said. And I thought, nah, I do not know. The more I'm learning about this, the more I'm going, maybe. So you saw that Tom Winslow, JP Miller's attorney, has that 20-acre property that backs his ass up right onto the river that goes up to Lumber River State Park, where Micah Miller's remains were found in the area that, yeah, all that. Okay. So the area that she was found in was an area that maybe many of you have seen this in a number of different, news channels that are pointing this out. I think Ashley Banfield got the first interview with Michael Francis, Micah's dad, where he talked about this. The area where she was found, there's a lot of problems with it. First of all, it's in a restricted area where only the park rangers usually go. It's like difficult to get there. It's definitely off the beaten path. You can get there by land, but you kind of have to trudge over some like prickery and bushes and, kind of like on like foliage is not thinned out, right? And we know how that can hurt or be like inconvenient or get you some ticks on you or Lyme disease, who knows, all kinds of bad things. You got to be careful, right? And another way to access the place, the area where Micah Miller's remains were found and where her belongings were found, which were 40 meters away from her body, and her body was submerged in still water, completely still, not moving at all. You can access that area by boat. So the theory is like this. Somebody, by boat, brought her there by boat, possibly from that Casey Landing that's right off of Tom Winslow, who's JP Miller's attorney's property. And we're going to talk a little more about this. Again, when I first thought that, I was like, yeah, I don't think so, people. You're going to look cray, tinfoil hats and all that. But I'm starting to consider that as a possibility.
But the only thing that I've got a question about this whole thing is now I just found out last week that JP had a lawyer or something that's got land down there. My own land is somewhere near right there. I feel like somebody might have come in off of that land.
Right.
As far as me hearing her arguing with somebody, as far as even knowing somebody was even there, I couldn't see.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Tough Topic. My name is Brittany. I hope everyone is enjoying their day. And I'm going to be talking about the Micah Miller case, and there are so many layers to this.
Okay, so this was, I didn't realize this was the video I put up, but it is the video I put up. So it's okay. This is from a channel called Tough Topics, I believe. I just want to give them credit. I'll pop them in the description box. We're going to keep watching it.
Young woman who allegedly took her own life at a state park in North Carolina. Those of you that have followed this case are probably just as frustrated as I am with the lack of work being done by law enforcement. And this entire case has now been turned into a cleanup spree, and people that are not at all working as investigators finding out so many details and things that should have been addressed before they actually named this as a self-unaliving. I've listened to many interviews by the family and friends of Micah and former members of Solid Rock Church who knew that Micah would never do something like this without any influence. So Micah's dad, Michael, has worked hard at trying to find answers to how and why this happened. And there is only one person that was making Micah's life a living hell, and that was Pastor J.P. Miller. This pastor that has threatened revenge pics to be uploaded to Facebook, which is caught on camera, by the way. The same pastor who put tracking devices on Micah's car, slashed her tires, is the same pastor who picked up random sex workers, same pastor who forced Micah to get breast augmentation, the same pastor who would give Micah testosterone pills to increase her sex drive. The list goes on, and I'm sure all of you have heard all the stories. So with having this information and previous police reports for various things, including harassment, why would her death not be further looked into? So here's what's new on the list of the things that just does not make sense. The fisherman who found Micah's belongings, which was her backpack, it did include an amount of $500 inside. Now, $500 is a very specific number. You know, some people go to the ATM and get maybe $20 or $40 in cash. Some may get $100, but $500, that is a specific amount. So a lot of us look at the store she went to, which was very random, and the state park. So,
okay, so this can, well, let's see what else she has to say. All right, this might be good.
Half of that Micah took at the park was a very tough spot to get into. It's also a zone that no one is knowledgeable about, and it's a do not enter zone. The fisherman also mentions something that I find very interesting. He says that JP's attorneys has property that leads to the path of the same river accessible by boat at the state park. Now, although I did already know this information and I've talked about it on my previous videos, I find it very telling that the fisherman knew the accessible routes from Fairbluff. Remember in the 911 call, Micah told the operator she doesn't know where she was. She also mentioned Fairbluff. There is no way to enter that part of the river by boat without passing through Fairbluff. Now, this fisherman also says that there was another boat that was over by the area that he heard the shot come from. He says that it was a man, a young lady, and another child. He says that those individuals were coming into the river as he was leaving. He says that they were fishing upriver and passed him. He also states that it was a John boat about 14 feet. He says that he asked them if they heard the shot, and they said they did. Now, these individuals were never questioned. And me personally, I can't say if any.
Now, he also says in his most recent interview, which was just yesterday, that the person who found her body had left the premises and later returned in a different car. For what's that's worth, I don't freaking know, but it's weird.
Any of these individuals, including the fisherman, has anything to do with this, or if anyone is covering anything up. But in my opinion, the FBI needs to get an official statement from everyone that was in the water fishing or not on that day. He also states that the kayaker that actually found Micah's body, he left the river before law enforcement got there, and he returned back to the river, and he was in a completely different car. He also told the fisherman that her body was right next to his boat. So there's always different stories which can cause a lot of speculation. And this is exactly why the FBI needs to get official interviews from witnesses and people's whereabouts during that time. Micah's family will need assistance with this, getting attorneys and everything that we need as far as resources to get justice for Micah, and it's costly. So if you do want to help, I will put a link below. It's just justiceformicah.com. And I do want to know your thoughts on it all, because there's now trucks that...
Okay, I'm a little bored with that one, but it's almost over anyway. So I'm going to put something else in there. Then we are going to talk about what's going on with the FBI too. That is one of the big pieces of news that we do have about this case that I did get official. Well, I'll explain to you when we talk about it. But I got confirmation about, let's say that, just before this live stream started. Is this the one? Let's see, what is that one called? Where'd it go? Oh my gosh. Dude, did I close it? Ah! Okay, why did I end up leaving this one? I'm not sure, but okay, I'm going to bring this one that we were watching a bit of back because it has the information we want. And it is called... This was on the video I was cooking for you guys. I was smart and I did this and I totally forgot. What a freaking idiot I am sometimes. All right, here we go. That's awesome. I'm glad I did that. Okay, good. Oops, I need to watch that again. To his congregation was self. All right, I'm just going to trust myself and let this play out. Okay?
Well, mentally.
Question
And everybody, and she wasn't. Y'all knew that she wasn't well mentally.
But the only thing that I've got in question about this whole thing is now I just found out last week that JP had a lawyer or something that's got land down there. My own land is somewhere near right there. I feel like somebody might have come in off of that land.
I have literally given myself hives today from holding this information in. So I'm just gonna, I'm gonna get it. About a week and a half ago, I filmed.
Now, this is a person who is a TikToker. Yes, I'm thinking of going on TikTok with this channel. What do you guys think about that, first of all? Should Watts the Obsession start a TikTok channel or whatever? I don't even know what they call it. So unfamiliar with TikTok, it's ridiculous. I've been on TikTok more than I have been in my entire life the past week or so, mostly with information on this case and just figuring out if I want to go on TikTok or not. But the thing about TikTok is you really got to weed through it and you really have to check what people are talking about. I mean, there's definitely BS going around about any case on YouTube, but TikTok is like, woo, whole new world. But within that, there also is some good stuff. So I don't know who this person is. I will go find her TikTok, whatever name, channel, whatever it's called, and I will link it in the description. But she is going to talk about the theory that I was referring to earlier.
Filmed a video and sent my theory.
And by the way, I heard a couple other people talking about this. Well, whatever. Let's just listen to her.
Theory to the team that I'm working with on this investigation. And in the video, I explain my theory on how I think Micah ended up where she was at and what I think it can tell us about.
Oh, she is? Okay, good.
Subsequently, in the amount of time that has gone by since I filmed that video a week and a half ago, there is a lot of information that came out that we have since confirmed. We were running theories on. investigated, flew drones over, ran the theories out, the people that I'm working with, we got confirmation on a lot of the things that were theories a week and a half ago. Now they don't seem to be so far-fetched anymore, and I feel like it's time to make a new video with confirmation on the things that were suspected a week and a half ago. I have to be honest with you, I am nervous to post this one, and I feel like there's nothing left to lose, and out with it. I'm just gonna put it out there. Mind you, this is a theory. These are all alleged opinions, and I'm gonna let the court of public opinion do its thing. Okay, so I briefly explained this the other day, but here is 41 Grocery and Grill, the highway that Micah would have been on if she went to Dick's Pawn Shop and was driving up to Lumber River, would have taken her in this general direction. She ends up getting off a highway here and drives over here to 41 Grocery and Grill. The thing that's interesting about this that I can't get over is that it's a long drive off the highway, and if the goal was to get gas and a drink, she has to get off a highway and literally pass the Sunoco the second she gets off the highway. My question has always been, why did she ever end up here, which will be a whole separate video. We're just going to talk about another way she could have gotten from this location up to Lumber River without ever being spotted. A couple things come into play here. Number one, the distance between these two locations by car is one thing, but the distance between these two locations by river is a whole nother ballgame. So I'm just going to talk to you while you see this journey here. This is 41 Grocery and Grill. It goes straight to a highway, and 6 minutes away is a small inlet called Gallivan's Ferry. It's a boat inlet. So I mentioned this in the video the other day. You're going to see this is Lumber River. It goes straight all the way to Lumber River. But what we didn't know at that time was that Tom Winslow, or friends with JP Miller, who also went to Solid Rock Church, owns 200 acres of land that sits directly next to the border of South Carolina and North Carolina. And the property that he owns here literally is outlined by Lumber River. Of course, it's not illegal to own property. He's welcome to own as much property as he wants. And this is all alleged. We don't know necessarily what happened on that property, if the property plays a role, but the fact that that property is sitting on the river where Micah was found is obviously a red flag. When we start to think about that, the property is outlined by, it looks like a snake, this river here, continues onward into another town, and then it lands itself into Lumber River State Park where Micah's body was found. The thing that we need to pay attention to is the fact that Micah's family talked all about the crime scene here. Then we also had investigators go out, News Nation went out with the Fisherman, and on top of that, Kyler Marlowe and the investigative team that she's working with in DB have gone there in person, found the location, saw that it's about a 15 to 20 minute walk from the car, which is not super overwhelming. However, if the goal on the phone, the 911 call, was to be found, the part that we all seem to get stuck on and find curious is that she waded through waist deep water to get to this restricted area in order to herself in a slough of water that is completely off the path that you would ever take to like venture into the woods here. So she was in a restricted area. She was found in the water. She was found over 130 feet away from the gun and the shell casings, and made a phone call to ping her location that she wanted to be found. I have a problem with that information. I superimposed the picture of Tom Winslow's property on top of actual Google Earth. So you could see the outline of his property sits on the border of South Carolina, and his backyard is Lumber River. And what's really interesting to me is that there's easy access points here straight into the river that are off of dirt paths. So now we have the last point of being seen, which was 41 Grocery and Grill. We have a 6 minute away entry point into the river, Gallivan Ferry. Then we have a stopping point along the way, which is Tom's property. Not saying these things happened, but I think it's quite interesting that we're still driving straight up the river and hit another spot here. And then the police report said that Micah was found in this one specific spot. And when the family was brought out there to look at it, when Kyler and DB went out there to look at it, when other investigators in News Nation went out there to look at it, what's so concerning is that she was found in a restricted area away from where everyone else would be. But you know who wouldn't really know that? Someone who was on a boat. Someone who was on a boat wouldn't know that the pathway from the car into the water was in a restricted area. Someone who walked through would. So Micah would have known that she was walking through a restricted area. There would have been signs up. She would have seen things that said restricted area, and she would have stayed on the path. But someone who didn't know that that was a restricted area would have been someone who took another method into the park besides the pathway. Like, for instance, the water. So, you know, the thing that has bothered me since the beginning is that the grocery and grill, she would have had to get back on the highway either this way or go straight up this way. If she went by boat, either willingly, which I doubt, or unwillingly, there's a piece of information that never made sense as well that I think is connected to this. Remember the phone call that Micah made to 911 and said, the dispatcher asked her, what town are you in? I don't think you're in Robeson County. And she says, Fair Bluff? I want to show you the last town with service.
Okay, now I don't know if I agree with that. I know that some of the people that this woman is supposedly working with have said that, or I know she's working with people that have been there, so maybe they are saying that that is the last town with service between where she was at in the gas station and up to Lumber River State Park, but that doesn't even make sense because we know that, and I think she said a lot of really good stuff there. It's just the last thing she said, so that's why I'm picking up on it. We know that Micah Miller made that call that was pinpointed by the authorities from the Lumber River State Park parking lot. So how could it be that the last place that has service on the way to Lumber River State Park is Fair Bluff when she was on the phone at Lumber River State Park? And that's, you know, there's always some, even the best videos on TikTok, the best creators or whatever, there's always something where I'm like, what? That doesn't even make sense. Yeah. Yes. Neil says too many flaws in that, and too much complexity and needed manpower. Not exactly sure needed manpower means, but yeah. Now on the case with Jeannie, what did you say that like I responded to? Okay. Says that double Fair Bluff audio is due to an AI glitch, a glitch in the AI. Is that so? I've been trying to learn a little bit about AI because I know nothing of it. But yeah, it does make sense if you... Now I want to show you a couple things. I think this might be one of the people that TikToker works with. If anybody knows, just go ahead and tell me, because again, I don't know anything about these TikTok people. Well, I know a little bit now, but I previously did not. I want to show you some of the just, you know, visuals that we have of the area that they are talking about. So, Switcherooski, welcome to everybody who's coming in. Come on in. I'm so happy to see you guys. We're talking about the Micah Miller case, all things suspicious, the Fisherman story that's changed and what he's revealed now. We're going to be talking about the FBI involvement in the death investigation. And yes, spoiler alert, it is confirmed that the FBI is, okay, let me say it like this. The FBI is now confirming that they are involved in the Micah Miller murder, or I'm sorry, they're not calling it that. I am though. The Micah Miller death investigation. They are now confirming that, but very first live stream we did on this topic on this channel, I let you know, and I talked to the same person today, my uncle, who is a retired, well, he was a chief of police down there in Horry County, right where everything's going on. Horry County is where Myrtle Beach is. It's where the Solid Rock Church is. He let us know that the FBI has been involved in the death investigation aspect of this case ever since. Well, it said that the Robeson County Police asked them to come on, but maybe they wanted to, maybe they pushed themselves on it because they saw something was fishy. I really don't know. But he was able to confirm at that time that the FBI was working on the death investigation aspect of that, not just, you know, ancillary financial crimes that had to do with the church and JP and things like that. But, you know, the FBI does not have to reveal what it is they are investigating. A lot of times they do not. So they may not have come out and told the world that until, I think it was earlier today. We're going to take a look at that in a minute. I just want to look at this video of the area, the water, and around the water where Micah was found in the Lumber River State Park. Okay. And this was like TikTok. I don't know how to make, I think like this stuff on the side needs to be there. Is that the case? Oh, I hate that. Ugh, I don't like it. TikTok's so weird. Can I make this bigger? Can I make the TikToks bigger? I don't know if I can. I don't know. If anyone knows how I can better use this, let me know. But at this point, I'm just kind of TikTok stupid. Sorry. Oh, and when I do that, it does not magnify. It makes it small. Oh, wait. Oh, look, I can bring it to. Oh, I figured it out. I take that back. I'm a TikTok genius. There we go. Okay. Oh, wait. Is there audio with this? I don't. Oh, crap. I'm going to have to. Please bear with me while I try to figure out TikTok. Oh, there's the volume thing. Okay. There we go. All right. Proceed.
Move this stick, but I'm going to throw this.
Oh, this is. Oh, no, that's not the. Never mind.
This stick out there and see if we can get any movement, if it sinks or it floats down. So, as you can see with that stick, it's not moving very fast and it's barely moving, and that's only the weight of that piece of wood right there.
So the point is, my friends, the fact that Micah Miller's body was found 40 meters from where her belongings were in this, as you can see, very still water, no current to be spoken of, is just very bizarre, right? So that's where Micah would have been found. And so we have some. This is LE Investigates. They're pretty great.
The private investigator.
Okay, so this is like where they would have. Okay. I believe in God our Father. I believe in Christ the Son. I believe in the Holy Spirit. Our God is three in one. I believe in the resurrection. That we will rise again for our belief. Okay. I believe. So they're with the boots and water here, they're trying to show like kind of what you have to wade through to get to where Micah was. Okay.
The private.
It's got to be this list somewhere. Oh wait, hold it. Sorry for the scroll, but that's what I'm doing. I want to show you the drone footage. More footage from where she was found, similar to what we just saw. That's where she was found. Kyler Marlowe, somebody who knew Micah Miller, and she has been all on this case. She's TikTok. She breaks a lot of information. We've been at the state park twice this week. Yesterday, we were able to find the spot where Micah's body was found. It was about a 15-minute walk from the parking lot if you know where you're going. It's a section of the park that is for authorized personnel only, where you have to walk through knee-deep water with a creek attached to it. We found some small burn marks on the ground scattered around where Micah's belongings were picked up. DB also spoke to Johnny Jacobs on the phone. I don't know who those people are. And the spot where he reportedly found the belongings would be the same spot with the burn marks. The flowers are left by her family. They were about 40 yards away from this spot, which would line up with where Micah's father said a struggle with bullet casings on the ground could have happened. However, one thing that didn't make sense to us was how someone could get any kind of a boat in there. And this fishing wouldn't be good. It's covered in tree stumps and obstacles. Okay, so that speaks to two things. She's saying, I don't know how anyone can get a boat in there. And I've heard that other people have said that who've been at the spot. So that says, okay, well, there apparently was a fisherman there in a boat. If you could barely get a boat in there, and it's also not a good spot for fishing, what was he doing? We don't know. And then the other thing about not being able to get a boat there is to speak to the theory that we heard that TikToker just lay out for you, that possibly the way that she arrived to this spot that just seems like, I don't know, just when you look at it on this visceral, like in my gut level, it just doesn't look like a spot she would in any way be attracted to. What do you guys think? That's just me. But, you know, if you can't even get a boat in there, you can't even get a boat in there. So that was that part of that theory, right? Okay, sorry for the scroll again, but I'm going to keep doing it. Oh, wait, what? This isn't the right. Are we still in Ellie Investigates? No, we're not. Damn TikTok. Ugh. Kills me. Let's see here. I don't know if I'm going to do a TikTok channel. This is too stressful, guys. There was drone footage. Where did it go? Come on. Come on. Come on, TikTok. You can do it. Come on. Nope. Dude, where did the drone footage go? Did they take it? Why would they take it down, though? All right. Well, I'm going to move on from that because I just have to. All right. Let's see here. What's next? What do I have on next on my list of info for you guys? Let me just find it, though. Working through all my tabs. Oh, got it. Okay. Switching it up here. And welcome to everybody who's coming in. Glad you guys are here. Hi, Lollipop. Hi, Shercy. How are you doing? Oh, yeah, you feel my pain? Okay, good. Well, not good that you do. Hey, Kind Colorado, how's it going? Hey, Greg, how are you doing? Michael Edge, how are you doing? Oh, yeah, let's get all the information on this. Justice for Micah. And for the last week in May, I announced that 50% of my channel revenue, and this is going to be my best performing month in the past 3 years, so this is a blessing for that. For, you know, views on videos, memberships, super chats, whatever the case may be, half of all that revenue is going directly to Micah Miller's family towards, you know, investigation and legal costs that they're going to be looking at, because they better sue the pants civilly off of JP Miller at the very least. And also, if you wanted to make a donation directly to their cause, you can just go to Justice. You guys can post it as mods. justiceformicah.com. Or again, 50% of the channel revenue is going to them, or just do it directly. Or if you can't make a donation, that's totally okay. Not a big deal. Sometimes people feel bad when, you know, you suggest stuff like that, but I'm certainly not saying anybody has to. It's just an option, because I know a lot of people do want to help in the ways they can. Different people can help in different ways, and that's okay, right? So, all right, let me bring this in the stream. Is that the right one? No, this one, yeah, okay. Yeah, TikTok is TikTok. Yes, it sure is. All right, here, let me get to where I need to go. Hold it, pause. Turn the volume up. Oh, gosh, I feel so inept right now, my friends. I'm sorry. Okay. All right, here we go.
Micah was weighed down or wedged with a log. This log was dislodged in front of the log.
You hear the whole thing. This is important.
The fisherman in the Micah Miller case claims Micah was weighed down or wedged with a log. This log was dislodged in front of the law by the kayaker. I just want to let you know this may be upsetting to some listeners.
When I came back out of the opening where I found Micah's belongings at, I happened to look and I didn't see the kayaker. I said, I wonder where the kayaker went to. So, I mean, let me tell y'all, he was not involved in this neither. So I said, I wonder where the kayaker got to. But anyway, I found out later that he had left out of the slough and went back into the river. He told me that he got back in the river because he wasn't catching fish into the slough, so he decided to go to the river and try to catch fish out of the river. So for some reason, he said he started hearing, he must have heard the law was coming up or something. I don't know. But he turned around. He told me that he went there and backtracked
to where I was at. I said, "Bud, you're kidding." And he told me, he said, "Johnny," he said, "you passed right by her." I said, "Bud, you've got to be kidding me." He said, "Yeah." He said, "You passed right by her." He said, "But there's no way you could have seen her." He said, he told me, he explained it to me. He said, "You know how you see a bag that's floating in the water and it might get a little bit of air in it, and then you'll see a little portion of the bag sticking up out of the water floating?" I said, "Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. You don't ever know what's underneath it." So I see, I understand what you were saying. He said, "But you couldn't have seen it." I said, "No, I couldn't have seen it because when I was coming out of there, I was looking straight ahead. I wasn't even looking in the water." And I'll tell you why come I weren't looking in the water. But anyway, I was just ready to get out of there. So I come out of there. But anyway, he said, "Well, that's what I seen." He said, "I seen it like a bag, the top of a bag floating in the water." He said, "But what had happened was her body was laid up against a tree or something in the water that had her stopped. And then there was a floating log, a piece of floating debris that was pushed up against her also." He said he still didn't realize what it was. He took his boat, moved up his kayak and moved up a little bit. His boat hit that log. The log hit her body and her foot came up out of the water. And he said, "Oh my God." He said that's when he realized that it was her. And that's how he pointed it. The laws must have, if I'm not mistaken, Lord forgive me if I'm mistaken, but I believe he told me that the laws was already there, and he told the laws, "Here she is right here. This is her. This is her body right here." I hope y'all can understand that.
Why haven't we heard or seen from the kayaker other than his 911 call and the fisherman's account? Let me know in the comments if you've seen any interviews from him. The fisherman in the Micah Miller case claims Micah was weighed down or wedged with a log.
Oh my God.
This log was...
So much volume going on all over the place here. Just a second. Okay. Okay, so, the interesting part of this is, that he says that, and I'm sorry, this is so hard to hear, but I mean, the whole thing is hard to hear, right? I mean, it's like really hard to get around that. It's a horrible, horrible case. She's a beautiful person, a beautiful soul, and this is such a tragedy. It's just almost makes you sick, But, the way that her body was, she was kind of pinned by some kind of a log. Now, this makes it all the more curious that her body was found 40 meters away from her belongings. And it's the same area that her belongings were, where we saw those burn marks from Ellie Investigates and the other TikTokers who had been there. And apparently the family confirms that those burn marks are the exact same spot where they had found the casings. There was a bullet hole in the tree. It looked like a fresh bullet hole. All of these things indicating that perhaps more than one shot was fired, although the fisherman that reported on the crime did not say that he heard more than one gunshot. You think you'd hear that? I don't know. But how much do we trust these people? I don't know. I really just don't know. So found 40 meters away from all of that, pinned by a piece of wood when you're in essentially like a giant puddle. It's like giant standing water. Like really, really standing water. I mean, no movement whatsoever. And, some people have made a point of Michael Francis, who is Micah Miller's father, saying that there were casings found and there was a bullet hole in the tree, yet this was not in the official investigation report. It can't be so. Well, that official investigation report, let me tell you, friends, you probably already know it, is crap. It's absolute crap. I mean, they didn't even look into the fact, they didn't look into Micah or her background, even as it pertains to police reports in neighboring counties and a state that's just a hop, skip, and a jump away, to find out that they should not release her body to JP Miller because she was divorcing him. He has a history of abusing the bejesus out of this poor woman, and she had just filed for a protective order against him. When there's a protective order pending and there is a death of a spouse, there is a process that needs to be followed to determine who the remains are released to, because it matters. Why does it matter? Well, it matters just because a loved one died and you care. And it also matters because JP was the one who was able to make the calls. And what happened to Micah after death? Was there going to be a full autopsy performed? Was her body going to be cremated or buried in case, if there is something, the family believes something suspicious happened, it can be proven right away. Maybe you would want to preserve the remains and give her a proper burial just in case, I'm just saying, just in case, because we know from Micah Miller's father that what they were able to see on Micah Miller was very, very alarming. Actually, let's go to that right there. I just got to pull the video up, so just give me 1 second here. Well, while I'm doing that, I'm just going to play a little bit of the video when from, let's see, JLR investigates. Used to think JLR was such a dweeb. I've told you guys that before, but he's doing a really good job in this case. Apparently, if you haven't heard from him in a while, you do follow his channel, you might know. He was in the hospital with something going on, possible abdominal obstruction or something, and he will be back though, and we hope that he's healing and he's well. And I do like him now, by the way. Took me a long time. I guess I don't have to tell you that, but I did. You guys are my friends. I'm going to tell you the secrets. All right. I'm just going to play this for now. There's the family. Oh, poor sweet family. Michael Francis commented on the video that I put out of his interview from that Rumble channel that I think now it's kind of circulated, but for a while it was really kind of like laying underground. So that was like very cool. And I expressed to him all of our love and support for him and the family and for Micah, and that we will be here following the path to justice with them because that's what's going to happen. I actually didn't like watching that. I felt like we were like perving in on we were like voyeurizing. I just made that word up. The family. It's kind of weird. I don't know.
The area we're going is almost just off limits. So this is a campsite, and it's not a reservation. You can't access this area. Read on.
Okay, I'm going to just move forward in this a little bit. Yeah, I'm just watching the family walk. Okay. Don't. At this point. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to bring in Micah Miller's father, Michael Francis, talking about some things from his interview with Sidebar, which I thought was a really good one. I'm going to try to get to the spot where he talks about the information I was just referring to, and I'm going to try to just find that instead of trying to put words in his mouth by paraphrasing. Welcome, everybody who's coming in. Glad you guys are here. Yeah, so what do you guys think? I mean, why don't you write in chat, like, what do you think about Micah Miller's death overall? Do you think that her death was a suicide? Do you think that John Paul Miller is directly responsible for her death? Do you think that he has something to do with her death? Like, leave some comments. Let us know what you think about that so we can discuss a little further. I'm going to skip like the intro part here. There's the 911 call. Here, let's start like here, maybe. What does it say? No, let's skip that too. Sorry. I just want to get to the most relevant part for you guys. Okay, here we go. Okay.
On April 8th, just weeks before her death, to report that she had seen a lewd photo of herself in a Facebook group and believed her estranged husband, John Paul Miller, had posted it. Well, after her death, Miller admitted that he did post the photo. In a letter obtained by News Nation, seemingly addressed to Micah, it reads, quote, "I'm sorry for putting a picture of you on the internet. It was for less than 1 hour and immediately taken down. I was hurt that you were telling everyone horrible, intimate details of my past sin, and I just wanted to try and hurt you. Please forgive me. It was evil of me to do that." Micah had also reported back in March that she found a tracking device on her car at least twice and said that John Paul had her involuntarily committed to a hospital and stole her car while she was gone. Now, in a statement,
all of that's been verified. All of
Russell
it.
Long said, quote, "It has come to light that Micah Miller struggled with mental illness, specifically bipolar disorder, which when not properly managed led to paranoid episodes and self-destructive behavior. Some reports made by her in the recent past are nonsensical." He also added that a ruling of suicide by law enforcement completely exonerates Pastor Miller of any wrongdoing. Well, I am joined right now by Micah's father, Michael Francis. Thank you so much for coming on. And before we even get started, I just have to say I am so sorry for your loss, your family's loss. And as I mentioned to you before we started recording, I know this can't be easy talking about this and having this amplified and everybody speaking about it. So I know this must be a very difficult time. So my heart goes out to you and your family, and really appreciate you taking the time to come here and talk a little bit more about it.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to start off. How are you and the family doing right now?
We're struggling. You know, we're more united than ever as a family. You know, this is something that has really caused us to drop any little petty arguments or something and focus on what's important at this moment. So, you know, we have grieved off and on, but we've also been in fight mode off and on as far as legally and, you know, and speaking out for Micah.
Let's talk about that because, and I want to be very clear here. Despite the findings from law enforcement that Micah had died by her own hand, that the sheriff's office saying John Paul was not in Robeson County when Micah died, do you believe there is more to the story, correct?
Yes, it's there's a lot of details that they did not cover, and because it was equivalent in their eyes to previous self-inflicted wounds, I believe the law allows them to do less work. It does not prevent them from doing more work. And since there were multiple shell casings found and a live round found, it already didn't make much sense. So it would seem that they would automatically do a complete toxicology, not just blood alcohol, and a complete autopsy, which they did not do. And we're just devastated that they didn't, because John Paul rushed the cremation process. And like during the briefing, we pressed pretty hard for more information and such. And the sheriff's office was trying to compress the briefing for us, and then they gave us a flash drive. It doesn't sound like Micah during the 911 call. She's so slow and so, but then later there are, I haven't even heard them myself, honestly. I have someone who's going through all that for me and filtering the information, because otherwise the more information I get that sounds off, the more furious I get, and I need to be able to focus and control my emotions. So, but there was screaming going on and such, and that's not something indicative of a self-inflicted, that's sounds like a fight. And with the bruising on her hands and on her arm, scratches on her hands, indicating defensive wounds. So very frustrating.
What, when you say defensive wounds, is that something that was told to you by a medical professional when you talked about multiple casings there? Where did you get this information? And when you brought this information to law enforcement or brought it or mentioned to them, what did they say?
Okay, as far as finding out, the park ranger took us back to the scene and pointed out, here's where she would have been standing. Here's where the shell casings and the live round were, which also doesn't make sense. She knew how to use a weapon. She got the weapon for self-protection. She told me days beforehand, Dad, I really feel like I need a weapon for protection. And she knows how to use it. She's qualified. She's been through training. She's not going to charge the weapon and eject a live round. She already knows the first rule of gun use is knowing the condition of the gun. So we got the information about the shells. I did it directly from the park ranger, and then when we brought that up to law enforcement, they just said, well, they had no answer. They really just had no answer why, any kind of, not even speculation. They didn't even say, well, she probably did this, probably did.
So, I just have to say that of everything that I've heard her dad talk about, whether it's, the shell casings and the live round and the bolt hole in the tree and all the things that they found on the site, or the fact that, Micah told him just, days before that she wanted to buy a gun for self-protection, I find him to be completely candid and honest. There are no, in my opinion, indicators of deception in anything he says or anything about his body language or his verbiage or his presence. And I personally, everything he's put out there, I believe it to be true. And not naively. I just really think he is, he loves his daughter. He's an honest and sincere person. And that's what we're getting from him, which is great.
That they just said, this is what we have. And there is what would be an apparent bullet hole in a tree, which I have a picture of. And they just didn't seem to put the effort forth. So we're very disappointed in that.
Us too, Mr. Miller. We are disappointed as well. I want to read this comment here. Make it bigger so I can see it because I'm blind. Hey, Andrew, how are you doing? Andrew says, when Micah's dad said that JP had Micah's guns and Micah was going to buy another one for protection, that tells me she did not kill herself. Yeah, and that is a true story. Just like, JP control, he is such a narcissistic control freak. I feel completely fine saying that, especially because of what I do for a profession. I do not normally like to slap labels that are, well, control freak isn't a clinical diagnosis, but that could even be considered to be close to a clinical diagnosis on people because it is in conflict with my ethical obligations. In this particular case, I am more than happy to say that because through his actions, through his behavioral pattern, and across time and settings and so many different categories, he proves himself to be a fully narcissistic, self-absorbed person who will stop at nothing to make sure that he is not hurt by another person and that he uses all of the people around him as objects to get to the end that he desires. Completely hedonistic, completely disgusting. That man is disgusting. Ugh, gross.
And the defensive wounds, was that from the park ranger too, or
Okay.
Yeah.
No, we looked at her hands during the viewing. We took pictures of her from the viewing. It was the worst day of my life. And she had scratches on her arms and on her hand. And
Oh, I'm just going back so we can hear that whole statement from him about her defensive wounds. My point there was she did have firearms. She had registered firearms that were at her house, which is also JP's house. He wasn't allowing her access to the firearms. He had told a friend that, I have to lock up the firearms because, I'm like, I saw Micah out in the backyard with a gun and I was afraid she was going to shoot me, and the friend's response just was like, well, dude, what would make, that's so weird. Like if I saw my wife anywhere with a gun, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm afraid she's going to shoot me. I'd be like, oh, she's, doing, target practice or whatever. But like, JP, like what even puts that thought in your head? And of course, I don't know what his response was, but it blamed Micah. People have talked about the medication that she was taking as it relates to her mental state on the last day of her life. Some have said, I've seen some comments saying things like, because John Paul was he was doling out her medication to her. This is so crazy. It's so weird and gross in a certain way. It's more like a father-young child relationship where, he's giving her medicine. He's like she's a grown-ass adult. She can't take her own daily dose of medication. Some people have said, well, maybe he was, double dosing her on the lithium, giving her too much lithium, because that can definitely make you feel a little deranged. I have heard from people who have talked to a person, that's closer to the situation. And I don't know this to be true, but I think that this certainly could be true based on what we know, that he was withholding her medication from her. And I think that we can find truth in that, even from his own statement when he announced her death just hours after her death to the congregation after he preached 2 sermons and took a whole 90 seconds in the end of the last one to let those people who cared about her deeply know that she was dead. And he says, something about, she wasn't taking her medication. It was hard to get it to her. We know from all of the liars that we analyze out there in true crime that, liars always have a bit of truth in what they're saying, or they can't keep their pathological lies straight. I think that when he said that, she wasn't taking her medication, it was hard to get to her, what he was really saying was she wasn't taking her medication. It was hard for her to get it to her because I'm holding on to all of it. And that certainly could have, put her in some kind of a weird mental state on that last day of her life as well. What bearing that has on anything, I don't know, but I really do believe that to be true. Let's go back to Michael Francis. I'm going to go back a few seconds so we can hear the whole account of what he's saying about her defensive wound, so to speak.
they really just had no answer why, any kind of, not even the speculation. They didn't even say, well, she probably did this, probably did that. They just said, this is what we have. And there is what would be an apparent bullet hole in a tree, which I have a picture of. And they just didn't seem to put the effort forth. So we're very disappointed in that.
And the defensive wounds, was that from the park ranger too, or?
Okay.
Yeah.
No, we looked at her hands during the viewing. We took pictures of her from the viewing. It was the worst day of my life. And she had scratches on her arms and on her hand. And the coroner in training had the chief coroner with her, but she spoke out and said, well, maybe that's from when they retrieved her from the water. And I said, okay, of course, maybe. Was there blood in those scratches and such? They had no answer. Very disappointing. So I basically said the scratches indicate some type of scuffle or something, because the area where she was, there was no trees or anything anyway. There was no trees in the water. There was nothing there that would have scratched her hands the way they were. Like this. So, it showed, it indicated that there was you know, some type of pressure. You know, that's where the bruise was. And just, you know.
Well, Michael, here's the thing. And I hate to ask you this, and I know it must be difficult to revisit it. But when you mentioned the 911 phone call, when that came out, I think a lot of people who were suspecting there might be something there, they were convinced that that was the end of the story. When you mentioned that 911 phone call, you said there's something about the way that Micah sounded on the phone that sounded odd to you. What do you mean by
Absolutely.
that?
Very slow speech. She's a very happy-go-lucky, excitable person. And it was too slow. It was very slow. It was metered. It could have been done with an AI type of previous recordings where somebody would have had those words from her previously, or, you know, whatever. And so it just doesn't make sense that he wouldn't go up there.
Do you have a theory as to what happened? Because authorities are saying, you know, they crossed out his alibi of where he was. Do you have a theory as to what happened? And again, I know this is sensitive, so if you don't want to share it, I understand. But do you have a theory as to what you believe happened to your daughter?
Okay, well, I'll share what we spoke to about with the authorities, the sheriff in North Carolina. Also, as far as with his location, we've seen pictures of his truck. It had dark windows. Was it even him in there? Where's pictures of him physically there? We haven't seen those. They've not been produced. If someone else has them, we would like to see them to prove that he was there, because otherwise it could be anybody in that truck. So the theory would be that because she had multiple tracking devices put on her car previously, that she was followed out to the park or forced to go out to the park, and they either follow her out there, or there's no reason for her to go out there. That's the main point as well. She's never been out there. We don't go up there. It's not a family spot. And she was off the trail enough into a park ranger only area that nobody knows about. And so the theory would be that she it was either tracked, and then they said, well, we didn't find a tracking device. Well, they could have removed it at the park. When the car was at the park, and then it was collected by the authorities, they didn't check for a tracker, which blew my mind. They said, oh, we have all the evidence and everything. We asked them, was there a tracker on her car? And they said, well, we didn't check. And we were flabbergasted. This happened over and over during that interview. Why didn't you check that? We know that there was 3 or 4 trackers put on her vehicles. Why wouldn't you check to see if she was followed? They said, oh, there's no cameras, but we know she wasn't followed. Her car is just out here. And I said, well, there's no trackers. They said, no tracker. I said, well, they could have removed it after they did the deed. So then Micah's mother, Angelita, she said, pretend this is Micah's hand. And she asked me, grab this hand. And then she pulled it up, and said, it looks like someone squeezed her hand and raised it up and shot. And there are defensive wounds from it and such. And that's the general idea of our theory, that somebody crushed her hand to hold the gun up to her head while she's fighting. Either them or someone else held her other hand or her other arm back, because there's bruising on it from squeezing. And they forced it to look like that was self-inflicted. And a couple of rounds went off during the scuffle. One ejected was live. And then it finally happened the way they would want it to happen. And then dumped her in the water, probably 40 meters away from where the shell casings in the gun was found. The water doesn't flow there. It's a slough. It's still. It just sinks. And it actually flows when it sinks, when it recesses, it goes the other direction from where she was found. So her body, even if it was put in the water right there, would not have flowed the direction where she was found. It would flow the other way. So it would be possible that the incident occurred right there, and the shell casings, and then the gun was dumped in the water right there. And then she was carried farther, 40 meters back, into a little bit more secluded area where she was found.
So Sierra Francis now joins the conversation. This is Micah's sister. Sierra, thank you so much for coming on. As I told your father, I just want to say again, I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm so sorry for what you and your family are going through. Our hearts go out to you guys. And again, really appreciate you taking the time and being so generous with your time to come on and talk a little bit more about this. So I've already spoken to your father a lot about what you guys believe might have happened here. I want to talk to you about this legal claim that you have filed against Mr. Miller and the church. Walk us through what that claim is and what you're hoping to get from that.
As far as the the legal side of things, I don't have perfect details of everything. I'm just trying to pick up where Micah left off and make sure that justice is served and that we are able to remain over her estate and make sure that it is used or allotted in the way that she would have wanted it to.
Do you know anything about the FBI being a part of this investigation now? Were you told anything about that, what they might be looking into?
So we are aware that Robeson County did come out and say that the FBI is involved, but as far as what they're investigating and the extent of their involvement, the family's not sure.
Okay. I wanted to ask you this, both of you this. So look, the main argument, and it's being put forward by Mr. Miller, and what we've seen is Micah, they say, had suffered from mental illness. Do you know anything about that? Anything you could tell us about that? Because one of the things that Mr. Miller has said is he had this power of attorney set up for that reason. What can you tell us about what Micah might have been going through?
So before Micah married John Paul, she had no signs, no history, no indications of mental illness at all. And
why did she presumably agree to a power of attorney? Usually the person who sets up would have to agree to it and sign to it.
He had every way to control her, and he was very good at manipulating the situation.
And she thought that he would be doing.
Okay, well, I can answer that question. So the family didn't know this, but we do know this now. So we're going to talk about this. And then I'm going to go over to talk about, you guys are asking such great questions here. There's just so much information. I'm putting a video out tomorrow again. Definitely check that out. And I might do
which is something he did not like. Just,
just out of control. Hold it. Okay. I might do my Friday night live stream on Micah Miller case. I'm not sure yet, but there's just so much to talk about. Okay. As it pertains to the FBI, well, hold it. Kez Chick had said or asked, what did you say or ask? I'm not sure, but I started it. Okay. So she says, it came up to date another chat that could the attorney have called Micah to his place? Well, that is certainly something that I have thought about, and that I think that could be possible. I mean, that's all I can say about this. I certainly think it could be possible. What do you guys think about that in chat? And then hold on, I got to find something on Facebook here. Just gonna take me for a second. Yeah, so let us know what you think about that in chat. Do you think that it's possible that Tom Winslow, JP Miller's attorney, could have summoned Micah to his place? Let's see. Wow. All right, hold on. I want to do this in a certain order. Let me see. I want to find this. I'm just looking through these posts to find. There's a few pieces of information I really want to get to you guys. I just got to find them. Oh, wait. Did I screenshot it? I can't remember. Damn, cannot find it. Okay, let me see if it's in my files here. Trust me, you want to see all this stuff. It's good stuff. Just got to get my grubby little hands on it. Oh, wait, hold on. this way. It's break music time. Why didn't I take a screenshot of that? Come on. Dang. All right, hold it. I've got to find this. Or I have to paraphrase it, but I just would rather read this stuff to you than try to paraphrase it because it's important to get the accurate information. Why are these not in order? Oh, I know, because I'm going to go to his page. That's why. Okay, I got it. I'm going to be able to find this now. I'm just like searching for things in the incorrect way. Surprise, surprise. It's late at night for me. I've been up for a long time today. What? Why can't I? What? Why can't I see the page now? Dude, come on. Sorry. I'm having a little temper tantrum. I'm sorry, guys. Hold it. I'm having a little temper tantrum. Okay. Try like this. Okay. Okay. Weird. Oh, somebody must have made a fake account for him. Okay. Warning. I've been telling you to go check out the Robbie Harvey channel, and he has that Facebook page. There's a lot of information on it. Such great resources. It appears that somebody made a fake account for him. I don't know what that means, but you should be able to scroll through his content. Here, I'm going to bring you into my search. Come here. Come with me, guys. Come on. Help me look. Let's do this. Okay. All right. I'm looking. Well, up to it. Nope. Close to it, though, because I know it's right around that post. I already showed you those ones. Come on, baby. I looked at that one, the inappropriate post from the attorney. Okay, this is it. Okay, finally. Woo! That took a long time. All right. Better. Don't go anywhere. Okay. A new message from, what does it say? A new text message from John Paul Miller. Yay, this is 4 days ago. I obtained text messages from John Paul Miller just 1 day after Micah's death. On the evening of April 28th, John Paul is desperately trying to find the person who helped Micah file for separation just days prior to her death. Because remember, Micah can't do anything on her own. Remember, JP was served on April 25th, just 2 days prior to Micah's death. He was also served Micah's request for a protection order. In the messages on April 28th, John Paul wanted to know who gave Micah the money to hire an attorney. And what's interesting, John Paul says the detective wants to know. Scroll down. Come on. I cannot work my computer. Oh, come on. Okay. According to the source, no detective ever reached out looking for such information. John Paul blames the person who encouraged Micah to make such a decision to separate. He says it sent her into a depression and therefore she ended her life. So ridiculous. Because the messages carry vital information that's crucial to this case and for the protection of multiple sources, I will not release them publicly just yet. I've been told the FBI is extremely interested in the information these messages contain. I will tell you this. The messages have nothing to do with the financial investigation. As of now, Micah Miller's death is still considered a suicide. Her husband, John Paul, has not been charged with any crime, but hopefully he will be soon. Now, moving on to the FBI's involvement in the case. Now, as I said, I do believe with sources that the FBI has always been involved in the death investigation aspect of this case. And I explained that earlier, and I'm pretty certain of that. Now, they weren't saying that they were involved in the death investigation aspect of this case, but as we know, the FBI does not have to tell us what they're doing. They are secret. Everything they do can be secret if that is what they deem appropriate or just because that's what they want. So, dated just today. So this is what caused me to look into this, to get confirmation that this is actual and factual, and it is. FBI investigating death of pastor's wife who reportedly found GPS tracker and razors on her car. This is out of Robeson County. And the caption under the picture said, oh no, it's not the caption on the picture. Wow. Okay, the beginning of the article says, the FBI and the United States Attorney's Office are now assisting in the death investigation of the pastor's wife after officials initially said she took her own life at the state park. Now, I think the reason that they are now admitting that they're involved in the death investigation, I was talking about this with my uncle who confirmed that this is actually happening, is because they are getting close. They are starting to find information that is leading them on a fast and furious trail to understanding that JP Miller is guilty of this horrible crime. That is my opinion. That is also my uncle's opinion, who has been telling us that they've been involved all along. And there's another source who confirmed it as well, who's explicitly doesn't want to be mentioned in any way or shape or form. And I just think that's what's going on. So now they're going to start talking about it. It's going to be more open. It's going to put pressure on John Paul and possibly even his attorney, Tom Winslow. And like, this is just how they see things play out time and time again. The FBI is they in that sentence. Okay, going with the article. According to the Robeson County Sheriff's Office, on Saturday, April 27th, shortly before 3 p.m., a woman called 911 and she said she was going to kill herself and wanted her family to be able to find her body. The woman reportedly hung up, and authorities responded to her location at Lumber River State Park in Orem, North Carolina. Deputies and state park rangers located a black Honda in the alleged Accord that belonged to the 30-year-old Micah Miller of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Inside, investigators reportedly found a gun and ammunition, and the serial number matched the case. Okay. According to the sheriff's office, while authorities searched for Miller, a fisherman discovered her bag near the water's edge and heard crying and a gunshot. This is all stuff we know we talked about. Okay, I want to get to the interesting part here. Investigators, okay. No, yep. On May 13th, they said they asked for help from the FBI. In a statement, the Robeson County Sheriff Brunis Wilkins said, unfortunately, rumors and conspiracy theories were spreading quickly and assumptions were being made. Well, I think it's a little more than that. Okay, so there wasn't any more to that article, but that's okay because we have the statement from the FBI. I don't know why I even bothered to read that. Or not the statement. We have a more substantive article is what I'm trying to say. Let me just find it. Whoops, I turned that. Okay. Which one is it here? Sorry, I'm going through all my tabs again. There's so much information today. Oh, what happened there? Oh, no, not today. TikTok. Now, I'm going to have to read the terms of service after you guys were, I saw some of you guys talking about that in chat. I didn't even know that it was so like unfavorable, but yeah, a lot of problems. I'm not going to go on TikTok. It's decided. Thank you for helping me decide. All right. Shoot, where did, oh my gosh, I can't find it now. Oh, well, basically for the sake of time, because we've been doing this live stream for almost 2 hours now, and I do have to work pretty early in the morning tomorrow. It just explains that the FBI is involved in the death investigation aspect of this case. The way that it's written, it sounds like they are newly involved in the death investigation aspect of this case. Prior to that, they didn't give any specifics of what they were involved in, just a confirmation that they were in fact involved. People are assuming it had to do with the financial crimes that John Paul Miller is obviously committing, but we don't know all of that. But we do know that they are, yes, in fact, I am sure, involved in the death investigation aspect of this case. And that, my friends, says a lot. Now, doesn't it? Absolutely does. What do you guys think about that? Let me get down to current chat here. Interesting stuff. Wow. Your comments are so good tonight. I mean, they always are, but I am captivated. Thank you, Kez. Boop. Boop. You're so very welcome. I don't know what that's about, but it just made me laugh. Ashley says they are laughing and crying, can't decide which one to do because they are pissed and blocked. That sounds really interesting. I want to know what you're talking about. So, I think that, as far as the FBI being involved in now disclosing that they are involved, there have been a number of sources close to this case, close to Micah Miller specifically, or people who are in the church and felt that they were close to both JP Miller and Micah Miller. They feel differently now. Both that have been talking, on YouTube or whatever. I myself have gotten in touch with a number of people after learning how valuable that can be when I'm talking about a case here on YouTube. So I used to never do that. But, everybody now is completely suspicious of John Paul, and copious amounts of individuals who are close to Micah are now either being pursued by the FBI or summoned by the FBI, or the FBI are just showing up on their front doorstep. Or in some other cases, people have told me that they were volunteering information to the FBI because they felt that it was so important. And this is in the form of a lot of text messages are going to the FBI right now. And then of course they are getting those phone records and they are looking into what other messages might give them a better context, or if there's something that's hidden or forgotten about that's important material to this case and the death investigation. Apparently just in the past, it's not even a week, I'm going to say like few days, less than a week, more than like 2 days, I don't know, time is just escaping me, that has really, really picked up. And there's been an increased interest, it seems, by authorities to, get every little speck of information that they can possibly get their hands on about the way that JP was manipulating and coercing Micah Miller into doing like whatever the fuck he wanted in like whatever category you can think of. And also, what was precipitating just before her death. And of course, most importantly, in those hours, those days and hours surrounding her death. So going back to Keshik's question, do you think that it's possible that JP's attorney could have, summoned her to his place? Well, we saw that that Rodney Harvey just got his hands on text from JP, and I'm saying like, that he was like furiously looking for whoever may have been the person to give Micah the money. From what I understand, most of the texts, the way that JP wrote them, it was like from the angle of who gave her the money for this. Like, she's not supposed to have any money ever, right? And he was very concerned about that. I think what he really was looking for were some people who were close to Micah for whatever reason that he might not know about, that just might have those missing pieces of information that could tip the scales from JP being a free bastard walking the streets to being charged and then eventually incarcerated. I think that is his only concern right now because he knows what he did. But you know what, JP? We know what you did too, because we might not have all the information and facts as it pertains to what happened that day. But I, as a behavioral therapist, and everybody in the world is people that have common sense, and others with different specialties or focuses or just things that they like to think about a lot and figure out. We know that there is a very clear pattern of the way that you treated Micah and the pathological lengths that you would go to, JP, to make sure that she was under your control every second, every moment of the day, night, and other, so you could use her and abuse her and manipulate her just for your own satisfaction, pleasure, and like warped sense of fulfillment as a subhuman being. We're on to all of that. And it's very clear that the circumstances around Micah's death are suspicious enough. And all of those suspicious, and this is coming from me, the person who's not suspicious of everything or not even much, all of those things that are suspicious have your name written all over it, or the name of somebody close to you, like your not equally as bastard attorney, because not many people are as bad as JP, but like we see what's going on. So enjoy your days of freedom, JP Miller, because they are numbered. Well, she wasn't 14 when they were caught in a, now what was said was they were caught in a compromising situation. You know, I heard that, I don't know if it matters or not, but that it wasn't sex. It was a compromising situation. She wasn't 14. At that time, she would have been, well, I mean, she would have been 16. She was 16 when the wife caught them in that situation. I don't know exactly what it was, but I just want to clarify that because, you know, I just do want to make sure we're respecting Micah. Not that you were just trying to disrespect her, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. GP equals wasted space. Hell yeah. Was it a white wedding? No, probably not. Oh, gosh. She could have had a beautiful life without this freak. Absolutely. Ashley says it's who's going to be a matter of who's going to be ratted out first. Absolutely. I think that might be the case. Yeah. Jen says the whole church needs to be investigated. Whoops. Along with people going there. Yeah. Well, people going there that, you know, where something is discovered that indicates that they might have a hand in, you know, something nasty going on, because we don't want to, you know, we don't want to be breathing down the necks of totally innocent people who just wanted to trust in their pastor. You know, that is a logical thing. Many people think that's a very logical thing to do. Some people think it's a healthy thing to do. I don't ever trust religious officials. I just don't. Wow, Astro, do you remember the name of the video? What's the video we're looking for? Oh, and Ashley, I'm gonna try to, before closing, I'm gonna try to find the video that you're talking about where Micah's asking him for that information. That's a good one. Oh, hey, Layla, thanks so much. She says, this is a great live. I've been watching 4 trials, so I haven't been paying attention to this case. I'm learning so much. Thank you. Oh, I'm so glad. That's awesome. What 4 trials are you watching? Damn, girl, that's a lot. What was it that Astro, let's see, her dad, yeah. Oh yeah, I played, that's in the interview, part of the interview that I posted on my channel. I posted an interview that was kind of a rare-ish, I mean, this isn't very long, so saying rare is not really, doesn't feel like an authentic word, but it was an interview, it was the best interview her dad has done. It wasn't with mainstream media, it was with 2 people that he seemed to feel very comfortable with. He told everything. I just posted it a few days ago or last week, so you can find it very easily on my channel. It's one that Michael Francis commented on himself. And he says, the way I understood it was, yeah, he said that she said, oh, if I have a baby, it might be black. And I don't want to get into the details because some people have commented or contacted me saying that they understood that story to be different than it was. And it was kind of like gross towards Micah. And I just didn't like that. I mean, and I listened to that part again and again. But what Michael Francis did say that was that JP picked up prostitutes regularly. They'd just be coming home from dinner or whatever. Be like, let's go pick up a prostitute. And Micah said herself, and he said that he would then make Micah witness these acts with JP and whomever. And one of the prostitutes that he would pick up was a black man. And, you know, somehow Micah thought that she could possibly, then if she had a baby, it could be black. My comment on it was, that speaks to how innocent her mind is that she thinks that because she saw her husband having intercourse or whatever with a black man that she could, I'm not sure what was really said, but that's, I think, how her father made it sound. Go check it out and listen to it for yourself so you can see what you think of that one. And I'm going to just try to find that one video really quick. You know what? I know it's in one of Plunder's videos. Let me pull that one up because I think I know exactly which video it is. It says bruises on it on the thumbnail. Yes, and we love Plunder. Plunder is another channel that I know many of you are subscribed and love Plunder as well. But if you're not, oh, it's your lucky day because you're going to go subscribe and she is amazing. All right, here, I'm going to bring that up for you guys. Just one second. There's JP's nervous breakdown on the lawn. Okay, got it right here. Thanks for reminding me about that, Ashley. This is a good one. Okay, final clip to share. Coming up, babies. What? Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. All right, everybody, listen up.
Done it to get out of an abusive situation, where some personalities you have to just calmly, step
She's so awesome.
away and try not to trigger them. But she might have been saying, oh yeah, I should have never left you, like she's saying. They're trying to make her sound crazy, and I don't like when evidence is.
Oh wait, did it play previously? Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. I'm gonna get here. It's not too far.
To lead people to the Lord. You were been seen.
I never should have.
Okay, yep, here it is. Yeah, I think when she says I never should have left you, she's just trying to, ingratiate him to, whatever it is she wants or needs.
I never should have left you. I never should have abandoned you when you were trying to work things out. I never should have put anybody else before you. I love you. At this point, I don't even know who my husband is because I don't have a paper trail. I don't have a copy of my marriage license and where it was filed and proof that I am married to who the world thinks I'm married to, who I think I'm married to. I don't even know anymore. I'm getting tax records from Micah Francis, Micah Miller. I don't even know what my last name is. I know I'm Micah Acacia. I know I'm that. My parents gave me those two names. That's on my original birth certificate. Still is today. But I don't know who I belong to under God and legally anymore because I don't have a paper trail. And that's important because if you get put on life support, if you are mentally unable or unfit to run the church, I need to know the paper trail. Who's in charge? We got a lot of assets, a lot of money to guard. Because it's not our money, it's God's money. And whose money was that? Before God, He put it in the pockets of people. And then those people gave it to us and entrusted us with God's money in God's house to do as God wishes. But I don't know who's steering the boat anymore, and that concerns me. I'd like a paper trail. I don't feel like that's too much to ask from the First Lady, or maybe the First Lady of Solid Rock, in case something happens to you. I love you. This isn't to harm you. I love you. Bye.
She's saying stuff like, I don't even know who I am. She's like, I know my name is Micah Acacia. To me, she's saying it more.
I think in retrospect that Plunder's analysis of that isn't kind of what I think right now, but this was a long time ago when she posted that. So what do you guys think of that call? Yeah, the gun was located by the waters, like closer to the water's edge than the body was. It wasn't, it wasn't right at the scene where all of her stuff was found. It wasn't right by her. It was somewhere in between, closer to where her things were found. That's my understanding. Yeah, I think she's onto the dirty money too. I absolutely do. And at the same time, let me give you a context. At the same time when this voice recording was left, she had filed for divorce for him for whatever reason. That filing was rescinded. It was, then, gosh, I learned, I researched this and knew about it. But anyway, we do know that around this time when there was a divorce filing, then it was taken back for whatever reason. I do not know why that is. That her sister said that, she was asking questions to her sister that were letting her sister know that she felt that there were some financial crimes happening with JP and the church. Surprise, freaking surprise, you know? And, you know, I think it was when she filed divorce that time, for example, and this was like a year and a half ago, you know, as soon as she filed for divorce, JP sold their home, their marital home, to the church for $159,000 when it was worth a lot more than that. You know, he came up with that $159,000 based on a tax assessment that had been done like ages and ages ago. You know, produce that as paperwork because that's what he does. He just expects people to sign and just be good with it. And it was worth like way more than that. Oh, going back to something that came up during this content that I wanted to comment on, but I just went off on a tangent about something else. The power of attorney that was mentioned when Court TV was, or whoever it was, Sidebar was doing that interview with a dad and sister recently here in this live. And they're like, well, you know, what was up with that power of attorney? The power of attorney was not notarized. It was not notarized until like the day after it was created and put into action for some reason, but it wasn't notarized, meaning it was null and void, meaning when you get something notarized, that is so the notary public watches your hand with a pen in it move to the paper, and your hand through that pen and ink or blood or whatever it is creates your unique signature, verifying that what is said in that document is factual, true, and consented to by yourself, not under duress or blah, 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 right? That didn't happen. So if a power of attorney is not notarized, this is in any jurisdiction across any state in the union, then it is not valid. So, I mean, I think just because we know what JP's up to, the obvious conclusion is it was forged. But he constantly had Micah in a state of confusion where she didn't know up from down. And she certainly, you know, was not asking questions about, could this be forged? It's just such a shame. Keshik says, I think she was leaving hints for the police or whoever listened. Ah, that's really interesting. Really good. Yeah. Yeah. Very possibly. Yeah. Cher C says, in my opinion, he crawled inside her mind when she was really young. Yeah. Grooming. I think that's exactly what he did as well. Yeah. Terrible. Terrible. No, Neil says, I don't think that call made Micah look bad at all. She knows that he's doing bad stuff, and her speaking aloud and questioning, it might have sent warning bells to the bad players involved. Yeah, that's a really good point. Very good point. Duck McDonald says, theory, lawyer, I think you mean Winslow, right? JP's attorney, asked her to come to his place. She may have trusted him to discuss her safety and told her to buy a gun. Oh, damn, that's good. He then drugged her and did the deed. 5 million corruption church. Wow, that's expanding on what like Hez was asking. That's really very interesting. Wow. 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 Oh, yes. Brooke Pope says, yeah, I saw that recently. Have y'all seen the video from Pakistan Church School Group where the little kids were asking for justice for Micah? And the man was saying that they do not trust him and that he's a bad man. Yeah. And that's also where JP's dad, he committed crimes in the States and also in Pakistan and who knows where else. I mean, seriously. JP had more money. The money was the root of all evil. JP did have more money, but it's because he stole from the church, as Micah so eloquently said in that voicemail, that, this is not our money. This is God's money. And God put this money in the hands of the people, and people put the money in our hands for the church and entrusted us to manage that money for the sake of the church, for the good of God, for the good of people. And, you know, in what she wanted to say, was thinking was, and we're not fucking doing that. You know, like, what's up with that? She didn't say that, but I mean, she put it really well. And we know what she was getting at. I heard JP was looking to purchase a small plane. Is that true? Yep, we talked about that earlier too. And he purchased it. It's actually under his attorney's name, he and Tom Winslow. And it was purchased for $300,000. And it is, let's see, is this it? Or no, here it is. Here's a little beauty. Whoops. Let me just bring this into the stream. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to definitely do a live Friday night. I think I'm going to do another Micah Miller live stream, and I have a video coming out tomorrow. Please check it out. There's going to be a lot of good information in it because there's just so much to talk about right now. And I just feel really, really, really committed to Micah and this family and justice. I mean, it has to be done in this case. So here's the plane. I have the purchase, the invoice for it somewhere. You know what? It's on my phone. I'll show that to you during the next live. We have like the purchase invoice for it. Rachel, my friend Rachel, the researcher, found that. She came on and did a live with me recently. If you guys saw it, she's great. There you go. The love of money is the root of all evil. Right. Yeah, he claimed the airplane was donated, and it was not, because we have the invoice for it. Liar, liar, pants on fire, and I got that receipt. Good tip. Charles Randall did an interview today with WB. Oh, that's great. Awesome. I want to check that out. What'd you think of it, Michael? Doug McDonald says, Micah knew too much. When she was free from JP's control, she had to be silenced. Super well said. I agree with you 1,000,000,000%. Oh, Shercy, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And thank you for being here. I'm enjoying reading your comments. Thank you, my dear. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I just saw. Oh, did you just do that? I'm a little lost in chat here. Okay. He also claimed it was a jet, but it's a single engine propeller plane. That's so funny. Micah is no way responsible for her own death. I stand by that. Brooke says he sure is super worldly to be a pastor and talking about getting a hot wife who loves Jesus while he's still married. Yeah, I know, right? Ugh, so gross. And that was the times that, that sermon was in response to one of those times when Micah actually stood up for himself and he just completely lashed out like he did every other time. Oh, Brooke says, see, y'all will see me flying to Miami and y'all will be taking a taxi, which he was talking about her because she said she was speaking poorly of him while he was starting their school in Kenya. Yeah, he is a piece of shit. Yeah, I mean, the things that came out of his mouth, it kind of makes you wonder how people had faith in him or trusted him, or it's just so. I know it's like people need to trust people. People want to trust people. People want to have faith. People want to believe that people in positions of being a pastor are good people. I was just talking about this with my son we were talking about someone. I'm like, well, I like to see the good in people. And he's like, Mom, You like to see the good in everybody. It's not always a good idea. I was like, what do you mean? He said something I didn't know he meant. I was like, what did you mean? He's like, the good you see in people, Mom, is not really there. You have to open your eyes. I was like, damn. But, you know, so I get it. Oh, that's why he went to her apartment after she died. The apartment worker didn't let him in. Is that true? Did I miss that? Where'd you hear that from? Is that a fact? Very interesting. Oh, yeah, no, that's right. I did know that. Never mind. I did know that. I think they got a lot of journals. Hey, Bubba's on. How are you doing? Yes, good night. Good night, my friend. Hope to see you Friday. Yeah, so. Yeah, I know. I was talking about that in the beginning or earlier in the live stream share. I was making a little bit of a big deal about it because it's a freaking huge deal. Cher says, Micah had a restraining order just prior, is my understanding. It's disturbing. He had control of her body after she died. Sure as hell is terribly concerning. He is a false prophet, Brooke. Absolutely. Hey, Texas Patty, how are you doing? Texas Patty says, new subscriber. My question, who drove Micah's car to the park? I don't think she did. Yeah, that's very possible. And, you know, if that is the case, we would love to know who that person was. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to end this because, yep, it's been over 2 hours. It's been great. I'm so glad you guys are here. Moderators, thank you so much. Members, subscribers, new subscribers, people just checking us out. Go ahead and click subscribe because we want you to come back. Please come back. We're glad you're here. And yeah, so God, just so much information on this case. There's a whole, I was, you know, when I was working on, I have 2 videos on this case in production, and they're taking me so long to get out because new information keeps coming out. It's like, I just want to be complete and everything, but it's really not possible at this time. But I broke down the big categories that I think are worthy of covering right now in this case. I had 9 different categories. Usually in any given case, there's like 2 or 3. Because I try to be pretty selective on that. But yeah, there's just so much to talk about. So we're going to keep talking in Justice for Micah. Yeah. Oh, 22-month-old. No apologies. I hope you have a boy or a girl. That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, so much for being here. Right. Yep. Okay. All right, guys. Peace out. And oh, hey, Neil, thank you again for the super chat. Thank you so much. So glad you're here. Like I said, I like very much reading your comments. Thanks for great stuff. Good night. Good night, friend. So I just want you guys to remember to go check those windows and those doors, lock them all. And life is hard. It's really hard, right? We all have super hard stuff going on in our life. I know we do because it is a commonality we have. It is part of the human condition because when it comes down to it, my friends, we are all more the same than we are different. So please be nice to each other, to everyone around you, and most of all, be good to yourself because I know you deserve it. And justice for Micah. All right, I'll see you guys on Friday.